In a quiet, unassuming town nestled deep within the heart of the countryside, secrets festered like mold in the damp corners of forgotten basements. The town was a place where people whispered of mysterious happenings and unsettling tales that kept them awake at night. None of these tales, however, could match the scary legend of the Graverobber. The townsfolk had always known something wasn't right about the old cemetery on the outskirts of town. The cemetery had existed for generations, but it was more than just a final resting place for the deceased. It was a place of ominous stories and ominous sightings. For many, it was nothing more than a place they visited during daylight hours, never daring to linger once the sun began to dip below the horizon. The townspeople knew the Graverobber's name but dared not utter it aloud for fear that even mentioning it would summon his dark presence. He was known as Elias Thorne, a man with a shadowy past and a reputation that would crack even the hardest of men of those who whispered about him. Elias had a penchant for lurking in the shadows, his gaunt face concealed by a tattered hood and his bony fingers clutching an old rusty spade. The Graverobber was no common criminal. He was driven by a morbid obsession, a compulsion to unearth the secrets that lay beneath the ground. He wasn't interested in valuables or riches. Instead, he sought something more sinister. No one could quite understand his motives, but it was clear that he was on a relentless quest to unearth the past. The townspeople were haunted by the unsolved mystery that surrounded Elias Thorne. Whispers of his late-night visits to the cemetery had spread like wildfire. Some claimed to have seen him, his hunched figure silhouetted against the pale moonlight, while others spoke of creepy sounds and restless spirits. But these tales were always hushed, never reported to the authorities, for fear of retribution from the enigmatic Graverobber. As the years passed, the mystery deepened. No one could explain why Elias chose to disturb the graves, why he unearthed the dearly departed, and what he did with them. The townspeople grew more and more wary, and some believed that he was conducting a sinister experiment, perhaps searching for a long-lost treasure buried in the depths of the cemetery. One crisp autumn evening, as a harvest moon hung low in the sky, a brave soul decided it was time to uncover the truth about Elias Thorne. Matthew Dawson, a local investigator with a relentless curiosity, had heard enough rumors and could no longer bear the weight of uncertainty. Dawson began researching the history of the cemetery, poring through old records and archives. He discovered that the cemetery was much older than anyone had suspected, dating back to the town's founding in the 18th century. It was said to be the final resting place of a long-forgotten family, the Wraithmoors, whose dark history was entwined with the town's own. As Dawson delved deeper into his research, he unearthed a disturbing connection between Elias Thorne and the Wraithmoors. It was rumored that Elias was a distant relative of the family, a black sheep who had been cast out due to his twisted obsessions. The Wraithmoors had been known for their bizarre rituals, and it was said that they had been practitioners of dark magic. Dawson's investigation led him to conclude that Elias Thorne was seeking something hidden in the depths of the Wraithmoor family crypt. It was believed that the crypt contained not only the remains of the family but also a repository of forbidden knowledge and arcane artifacts. Armed with his newfound knowledge, Dawson decided to confront Elias Thorne on a fateful night when the moon was at its zenith. He knew that he needed to reveal the truth and put an end to the Graverobber's reign of terror. Dawson ventured to the cemetery, shrouded in darkness, and approached the Wraithmoor family crypt. There he found Elias Thorne hard at work, his spade clinking against the cold stone surface. Dawson watched in horror as Elias uncovered the heavy crypt lid, revealing a chamber filled with ancient tomes and arcane relics. With a voice trembling with fear, Dawson demanded answers from Elias. The Graverobber's eyes, hollow and devoid of emotion, met Dawson's gaze. In a voice that sent shivers down Dawson's spine, Elias spoke of his obsession with the Wraithmoors, of the dark knowledge hidden within the crypt, and the power he sought to harness. Elias confessed to practicing the same dark arts as his ancestors, believing that the secrets contained within the crypt held the key to ultimate power. He spoke of the restless spirits that he had awakened, trapped within the cemetery's boundaries, and how he intended to use them to achieve his sinister goals. Dawson knew he had to put an end to Elias Thorne's madness. He pleaded with the Graverobber to reconsider his actions, to let go of his obsession, but Elias would not be swayed. With a chilling grin, he reached for a cursed amulet from the crypt. a relic said to grant dark powers. As Elias raised the amulet, Dawson lunged forward, knocking it from his grasp. A struggle ensued, with the two men locked in a desperate battle for control of the sinister artifact. The ground beneath them seemed to tremble as the amulet crackled with unholy energy. The amulet's power was unleashed in a cataclysmic burst of energy. The ground shook and the earth itself seemed to rebel against the dark forces at play. The crypt crumbled, burying Elias Thorne beneath its rubble, and sealing the ancient secrets within. Dawson managed to escape the collapsing crypt, but the cemetery had changed forever. The restless spirits that Elias had awakened were finally put to rest, and the town was free from the malevolent presence of the Graverobber. The mystery of Elias Thorne was buried along with him, and the old cemetery became a place of quiet reflection once more. The townspeople never spoke of Elias Thorne again. The legend of the Graverobber faded into obscurity, and the dark history of the Wraithmoors remained a buried secret. But one question lingered in the minds of the townspeople. What had Elias Thorne truly sought in the depths of the cemetery, and had he found it in the end? As the years passed, the memory of the Graverobber became a distant echo, a chilling tale told around campfires on dark, moonless nights. The town moved on, but the shadow of Elias Thorne continued to haunt their dreams, a reminder of the darkness that could lurk in even the most unassuming of places. And so the mystery of the Graverobber remained, a story that would never be forgotten, a tale of obsession, darkness, and the unearthing of secrets that should have remained buried for all eternity. Years passed, and the town's legend of Elias Thorne began to fade from memory. The once dreaded cemetery was now a tranquil place, its overgrown paths and time-worn headstones standing as silent witnesses to the past. But some residents couldn't shake the feeling that there were still secrets buried beneath the ground, waiting to be unearthed. One such resident was Sarah Whitman, a young historian with a keen interest in the town's history. Sarah had grown up listening to the stories of Elias Thorne and the Wraithmoor family, and she had always been intrigued by the mystery that surrounded them. She was determined to pick up where Matthew Dawson had left off and delve deeper into the enigma that shrouded the cemetery. Sarah began her investigation by poring over the old records, letters, and diaries of the town's founding families. She spent countless hours in the town's dusty archives, uncovering long-forgotten documents that shed light on the Wraithmoor family's dark past. She also studied Elias Thorne's genealogy, tracing his bloodline back to its origin. As Sarah delved deeper into her research, she uncovered a startling revelation. The Wraithmoor family had indeed practiced dark arts, but it wasn't just dark magic they were involved in. They had been pioneers in the study of alchemy and the transmutation of elements, seeking the elixir of life itself. The family had believed that immortality was within their grasp, and their experiments led to mysterious disappearances and unsettling legends. Sarah's research revealed that Elias Thorne's obsession with the Wraithmoors had been driven by a belief that they had discovered the key to eternal life hidden within the crypt. He believed that the crypt's contents held the final piece of the puzzle, the culmination of centuries of experimentation. The Wraithmoors' experiments were nothing short of alchemical madness, and the secrets they had sought were both tantalizing and horrifying. Sarah couldn't help but wonder if Elias Thorne had succeeded in his quest, or if he had met a fate worse than death in his relentless pursuit. Sarah was haunted by the story of the cursed amulet that had caused the cataclysmic showdown between Elias Thorne and Matthew Dawson. She decided to revisit the wreckage of the family crypt, hoping to find clues that had been overlooked. Among the rubble and broken stones, she discovered a shard of the amulet, still emanating in dark energy. As she touched the fragment, Sarah felt a rush of unearthly sensations. Visions of the Wraithmoors' experiments, their twisted pursuits, and the restless spirits they had awakened flooded her mind. She knew that the shard held a connection to the family's cursed past, and that it held the power to reveal the truth behind Elias Thorne's obsession. Sarah's quest for answers took her deeper into the dark history of the Wraithmoors and their experiments. She was able to piece together a chilling account of their alchemical pursuits, their belief in the elixir of life, and the horrifying results of their experiments. It became clear that Elias Thorne had indeed unearthed the crypt's secrets. In his relentless quest for power and immortality, he had discovered the elixir the Wraithmoors had sought. He had taken their research to its final terrifying conclusion, and he had achieved a form of eternal existence. However, the price for such a dark triumph had been high. The restless spirits he had awakened, the cataclysmic power of the amulet, and the burden of the Wraithmoor's dark legacy had all taken their toll. Elias Thorne had become a prisoner of the very immortality he had sought, a tormented soul bound to the cemetery for all time. Armed with the knowledge of the crypt's secrets, Sarah realized that the only way to free Elias Thorne and the tormented spirits was to reverse the dark alchemical rituals of the Wraithmoors. She embarked on a journey to gather the necessary components to create a counter-ritual, one that would restore balance to the cemetery and release the trapped souls. As Sarah worked tirelessly to break the curse, she faced challenges and obstacles that tested her determination and courage. She enlisted the help of local experts in alchemy and ancient rituals, studying forgotten texts and seeking guidance from those who had knowledge of the arcane. After months of research and preparation, the day of the counter-ritual arrived. Sarah, accompanied by a small group of trusted individuals, returned to the cemetery and entered the ruined crypt. They performed the ritual with precision, invoking the power of light and restoration to counteract the darkness that had plagued the Wraithmoors for centuries. As the ritual reached its climax, a surge of energy enveloped the crypt, and the restless spirits, including Elias Thorne, were released from their torment. The ground ceased to shake, and the crypt began to repair itself, restoring the tranquility that the cemetery had long lost. With the curse lifted and the spirits at rest, the cemetery was reborn as a place of peace and reflection. The dark chapter in the town's history was finally closed, and the legend of Elias Thorne took on a new significance. Sarah's tireless efforts had not only unveiled the truth behind the Graverobber's obsession, but it also brought closure to a long-forgotten story of alchemical folly and the pursuit of immortality. The townspeople, once haunted by their own history, now found solace in the newfound peace that Sarah had brought to the cemetery. The town's residents came to view Elias Thorne in a different light. No longer a malevolent grave robber, he became a figure shrouded in tragedy. His relentless pursuit of immortality had led him down a path of darkness, but in the end it was his quest that had ultimately restored peace to the cemetery. The memory of Elias Thorne, the grave robber, lived on as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of obsession and the consequences of tampering with the unknown. The town would never forget the legend, but they would remember it with a newfound understanding and respect for the mysteries of life and death. In the end, the cemetery stood as a testament to the enduring power of history and the complexity of human nature. The town's past was filled with tales of darkness, but it was also marked by the resilience of those like Sarah Whitman who sought to uncover the truth. The legacy of the grave robber lived on in the form of stories, whispered secrets, and the undying curiosity of those who were drawn to the enigmatic cemetery. And as the years passed, new mysteries and legends would continue to surface, each adding another layer to the town's rich tapestry of history. So the tale of the grave robber Elias Thorne remained a haunting mystery, a story of obsession, redemption, and the unending quest to unravel the secrets.